Hi everyone, this is Ali with a how-to for a card that I put on the My Favourite Things Insiders Facebook group. One of the lovely ladies there requested a video. So I'm going to use the Adorable Elephants set and the plaid paper from My Favourite Things. I've just got a plain card base there. I'm just going to cut a piece of the plaid paper to fit on the front. And then another piece of white card to go on top of that I'm going to cut my windows out of. I only want a narrow border of that plaid paper. I don't want it to be too overpowering. I want the elephants to still stand out. So I've just cut that small piece of card to go on the front there. And then I'm going to round the corners. So this is a corner rounder punch that I've had for years and years. I just did that to all of those pieces. Now I'm going to use my Windows pop-up peekaboo window die from My Favourite Things and just run that through my Big Shot, take out those pieces, and then I'm going to stick those pieces on the front of that card. Now I'm fast forwarding through a lot of this today just so the video isn't too long because I do a bit of colouring and that tends to take quite a bit of time. And then I've just adhered the white piece on with a little bit of, I've popped it up with a little bit of foam tape just so that I can then tuck the elephants behind that little window. And then the 3 elephants I've chosen from the set, I stamp in Memento tuxedo black ink using my Misty. And I do that so that obviously I can Copic colour over the top of them. Just stamp those on. And now I'm going to do the colouring. I do some colouring, but I'm not a huge colourer. I don't have any background in art or anything like that, so I tend to stick to the basics with the Copics. I usually use 3 colours. The lightest is C1 there that I've used. The mid colour is C3 and the darkest is C5, and then I've got an R20 which is for the cheeks and the ears. So I start by giving a light coverage of the lightest colour of the Copics, which is the C1, and I just quickly go over the whole image with that lightest colour just to soak the paper a little bit. It's just a brief run over with that C1. And then I go in with the C5, which is the darkest of my 3 colours. And I kind of imagine that the elephant is rounded, so that he's like 3D. And I think, well, where are the shadows going to be, or the bits that are furthest away, or the bits underneath other pieces, or bits behind other pieces. So I know that he's going to be darker at the back because he's rounded at the front, and the front part is going to be more towards the light. So I just start by pulling in the dark colour in a little feathery type pattern, especially around heads and faces. I tend to do that feathering. When it's other areas like that, I can just draw a sort of a straight line, but the feathering I do around the faces and other areas like that. And then I just look at where the dark things, where the shadows might be, and like I said, where the parts of the elephant that are furthest away, if you imagine him like in a 3D sort of way, and just go through and pull the colour. And then I go in with my middle colour, the C3, and I go over the top of that dark colour and start pulling the colour further towards the centre, around like that. And I do that with all of the areas, the dark areas that I've gone over. I pull in the dark colour, so I go over the top of that dark colour and sort of pull it into the lighter areas. And once I'm happy with that, then I go back with that's the R20, so I'm just doing a little bit of the pink for the ears and the cheeks. And then just going over again with the C1, the lightest colour. Just do a little layer over the top, or find any parts that don't look that well blended and just go over those and try and blend them into the other colours a little bit. Just pulling it in again until I'm happy with that. And then I just do the same process for the other elephants, and I'm just going to fast forward through that because it's exactly the same thing. And then fussy cut them out. So now I've got them fussy cut, and I'm going to just position them on my peekaboo windows. And I'm not going to stick them on just yet. I want to actually add some balloons to those 2 end elephants. And there are balloons in the set, but I don't have the die cuts, and I find them really hard to cut out without the die cuts. So I'm just going to use some dies that I already have, some my I think it's poppy stamps actually, die cuts, balloons. And I'm just going to tie a little bit of string to each balloon, and I find it's easier if you start the knot first and then tuck the little bottom of the balloon in and tie it around the base. And I'm just going to do that for all 3 of those. Now I want to position them on the card where I'd like them to go. And I also want to have the elephants hanging onto the string, so I just cut a little slit there so I can tie some string around that elephant's arm and just poke it through with my scalpel and tie that, and then cut off the excess. And I do the same thing around the trunk of the other little elephant, and then I'm just going to stick a bit of string on the back for the string of the balloons and pop up the balloons with some 3D foam as well. And so once I've got the string where I like it, I just push the 3D foam on to keep it in place and then cut off the excess of the string. And I do the same thing for all 3 of those balloons. Now I want to attach the elephants on, and I want their heads to sort of be popping up a little bit, but I'm going to put just double-sided tape on their feet so they kind of come out a little bit at the top. Same with the other elephants, some 3D foam at the top and just the double-sided tape at the bottom on the feet. Now I want to add the sentiment, so I'm just using the happy birthday sentiment out of the set, stamping that in Versamark ink on just a scrap piece of paper and cutting that to size, making a little banner end there. And then I'm going to back that with a bit of the plaid paper. I've just fast forwarded through that, just so it's got a little fine border of the plaid paper around the outside. It's a little bit long, so I'm just going to trim it down and then tuck it under that balloon. I need some 3 double-sided tape on the back of that as well. I've got to lift up that little balloon and tuck it underneath. And that's the card. So I hope you enjoyed watching, and I hope it inspires you to colour, even though, like me, not terribly experienced, you can still give it a go. And these elephants are just so gorgeous that they look good regardless. So thanks for watching, and leave a comment if you'd like, that'd be fantastic. And I will see you soon for the next video.